Hey everybody, welcome back. It's the Arc Knight again. Got a Marvel Rivals Moon Knight character guide for you today. Let's get into it. So in this video, I'm going to go through a breakdown of Moon Knight's abilities, what they can be used for, and then get into some of Moon Knight's strengths and weaknesses, areas that he really succeeds at and areas that he suffers at a little bit, and then give you a few general gameplay tips to help you succeed as Moon Knight. Moon Knight's main attack, the Crescent Dart, he throws out several small damage projectiles, and these projectiles will bounce between enemies if they are in close proximity. And this pairs perfectly with another ability from Moon Knight, and that is his Ankh. And when he places his Ankh down, it allows the Crescent Dart to bounce from Ankh to more enemies that are within the range of the Ankh. And a neat little trick with the Ankh is you can actually throw this just around a corner where enemies are coming from, and then throw a Moonblade or the Crescent Darts into it, and these can deflect into nearby enemies that are actually outside of your sightline around the corner. So you can use this as a good method to get damage on an unsuspecting player. And additionally, for his offense abilities, he has the Moonblade as well. The Moonblade is another ranged attack, just like the Crescent Darts, except for it is a single higher damage projectile. Now his Crescent Dart and Moonblade abilities will both ricochet off his Ankh after it is placed, and bounce between the Ankh and multiple enemies if they're in range. So one thing that's kind of important with Moon Knight's Ankh is you want to be very careful about the placement of it. If you put it right in front of the enemy, it's very likely that they'll see it, and if they're a competent team, somebody will destroy it. So for this reason, sometimes I like to place it on the inside of a door frame or on a wall, so it's a little bit harder for the enemy team to see, especially if it's going to be in the opposite direction of where they're running to. This way, the enemy team would have to turn around and look at the wall behind them in order to destroy your Ankh. I find that using this method to place Moon Knight's Ankh helps me get as much value as possible out of it. This allows Moon Knight to rack up huge damage numbers against enemy teams that are closely grouped together. Moon Knight also has several traversal abilities, including a double jump, a grappling hook, and a glide ability. Combination of all three of these abilities will allow Moon Knight to traverse maps easily and reach high vertical places that he can use as strategic vantage points to oversee the battlefield and get the most damage out of his Crescent Dart, Moonblade, and Ankh abilities. Now his ultimate, the Hand of Khonshu, allows him to open a portal over a large circular area. Through that portal, several spectral claws will drop down to do bursts of damage. Now with Moon Knight's ultimate ability, it's generally a good idea to gain a little bit of altitude before deciding where to place the ult. As Moon Knight, you can use either his double jump or grappling hook to gain a little bit of altitude, so that way you have a better view of the entire battlefield and can choose the best possible place to put the Hand of Khonshu. The combination of all of these abilities makes Moon Knight the ultimate area denial character. Moon Knight also has excellent range, which allows him to stay out of the fray, take less damage, and have more opportunities to take out duelists and strategists on the enemy team. One of Moon Knight's biggest strengths is his ability to crowd control the enemy team. If at any point the enemy team is grouped up into a tight corridor or contesting an objective, Moon Knight can throw an Ankh in the center of a group of enemies and then alternate between his Crescent Dart and Moonblade abilities to maximize damage against the entire enemy team. If Moon Knight's Ankh is on cooldown, I also find that aiming at one of the enemy team's tanks, like a Groot or Hulk, is a really great way to hit an easy target, and then those Crescent Darts and Moonblades will bounce from them onto the lower health enemies. If Moon Knight's range and area denial capabilities are used to their maximum potential, this can result in easy team wipes and huge damage numbers. This also makes Moon Knight a really great option for defending objectives. Placing down an Ankh and the Hand of Khonshu ability all in one objective will allow him to cover a massive area and damage multiple enemies at once. Moon Knight can place down up to 2 Ankhs, which can cover a wide area, and paired with his Hand of Khonshu ability, this can easily allow him to clear an entire objective by himself. In a pinch, Moon Knight can also throw an Ankh directly at his feet and then spam the Crescent Darts and Moonblade into it to protect himself from being rushed. It's actually kind of ridiculous how effective this strategy is, and I call this the Panic Ankh. I find that this is really helpful against characters like Spider-Man and Black Panther if they get the drop on him. Now, there are a couple of situations and characters that Moon Knight will struggle with. You definitely want to keep him outside of tight corridors where it's hard for him to back up. If he gets swarmed by a fast-moving character like Spider-Man or Black Panther, he can be in some trouble. I've noticed in my experience I have quite the issue with Wolverines. They just seem to absolutely love to get rid of my Moon Knight when I'm in games with Wolverines. It seems if they enter the same zip code as me that I end up dead almost immediately. So characters I would really watch out for include Black Panther and Wolverine. Moon Knight also struggles significantly with flying characters like Iron Man or Storm, and this is because it can be a little bit harder to hit them with the Crescent Darts in a more of a consistent manner without the Ankhs. Since these characters don't come close to the ground, and normally that's where your Ankhs are, it can be hard for them to get the ricochet off the Ankh. If an Iron Man or Storm is really annoying you though, you might be able to throw an Ankh on a wall behind them. In the case that they back up and are within range of the Ankh, you can spam a couple of Crescent Darts and Moonblades directly into it for a decent amount of damage. One tactic I like to use is to test out the waters with my Ankh and Crescent Darts before throwing a Moonblade. I like to get a couple of hit markers at least, and then throw in the Moonblade to make sure that my Moonblade is not going to waste. Overall, I think Moon Knight has the potential to be one of the hardest hitting characters in Marvel Rivals. I think he has excellent crowd control and area denial capabilities, as well as great mobility and range. Now, before I end it here, guys, I do want to hear from you in the comments. What Marvel characters would you be most excited about adding to Marvel Rivals? I'll go first. Nightcrawler and Daredevil. I'm a huge fan of these characters, so I'd love to see them down the road. But yeah, hope you enjoyed the Moon Knight guide, and we'll see you later.
I'm okay.